Do not say that if Shakyamuni had long crossed the great sea of illusion, there could be no reason for him to take Yashodhara as his wife and bring forth Rahuda, and that in consequence Shakyamuni Buddha could not have yet severed himself from the bonds of illusion and crossed the great sea of illusion. Hi, how you doing today? Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. It's great to have you here. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for your support. Like, subscribe. If you can, join the other patrons on Patreon or through PayPal. Tremendous bodhisattva actions help continue the expansion of this library, this resource, not just these videos. Remember, there's the free podcasts, all the free information on threefoldlotus.com, and the magnificent bookstore, right? With EPUBs and PDFs and entire books there for available for print or electronic copies. Let's continue. Shakyamuni is talking to Kashyapa, and he's correcting him, and he's saying, "Oh, good man, this great MahaPariNirvana calls forth a thing of great significance. Oh, good man, this great MahaPariNirvana, listen to me with your best attention. Really focus in now. I shall speak for all the world. Do not become surprised and entertain doubt. If the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reaches great MahaPariNirvana, such a high and wide thing as Mount Sumeru could indeed be placed inside a mustard seed. If beings are standing on Mount Sumeru at that time, they will feel neither narrowed down nor oppressed. There will be no sense of having come or gone anywhere. All will just be as before and nothing different. Well, physically, right? Only one who has himself crossed the ocean of illusion will be able to see that this bodhisattva has put the 3,000 great thousandfold worlds into a mustard seed and is back in his own abode again. O good man, also the Bodhisattva Mahasattva may enter into great MahaPariNirvana and place the 3,000 great thousandfold worlds into a pore of his skin. And yet the original place may ever be like this, may remain unchanged. O good man, also the Bodhisattva Mahasattva may enter into nirvana, cut off the 3,000 great thousandfold Buddha lands of all directions, place them on the point of a needle, and strike the other Buddha lands as though passing them through a jujube leaf, and the living beings therein would not entertain any thought of going or coming. Only one who is emancipated could see this and also the original place." Man, a lot of verbiage in that paragraph. Did you get it all? Once again, this is what I surmise and share with you all the time, is that Buddhism is about the mind. It's about our perceived reality, our experience of the engine of life, right? This is why he says things like, Nichiren captures all of this, of course, much more straightforwardly, but when he talks about the 3,000 great thousandfold worlds, 3,000, that should be enough to key you in, right? That's all the different influences, the realms, the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. Thought moment. Buddhism is about the mind. They will have no sense of coming or going, no past, no future, in this moment. They will experience, they will exist, quote unquote. In other words, their mind will perceive the true reality of moment to moment instantiation, one influencing the next. Right? Isn't this what he's exactly describing? I'll leave it to you to read it again. But it's all in this one paragraph. And he's going to continue. Only one who is emancipated could see this, and also the original place. One who is emancipated. That's a human, a bodhisattva mahasattva specifically. So while existing in the human sphere, the human realm, the realm of forms, one can perceive with one's ninth consciousness, one's Buddha-ness, one's enlightened mind, this absolute truth of all momentum influences coming together without separation, without identification. In other words, no separatedness. Identification is a distinction one from another, from another, from another. Without identification, there is only the experience of all. Yeah, it's a bit of a mind twister, but this is Buddhahood. And once done, it becomes easier and easier, yes? And that influences, that realm influences all others. This is why we want to be in that realm as much as possible, yeah? Oh, good man, there might also be a bodhisattva mahasattva who has entered nirvana and who has placed the lands of the 10 directions into a dust mote. The beings inside also do not feel constricted or oppressed or have any sense of going or coming. Only one emancipated sees this well, right? You don't alter reality. You re-envision, re-understand, re-experience real reality. That doesn't change the samsaric reality. It is completely in and outside of it at the same, without time. Time itself is differentiation. When I say moment to moment, moment to moment, moment, I'm describing the engine of life. I'm describing the innate, in the Saha world, division of perception. But when we chant Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, we reassemble, because in this moment, all of it is in the same momentum, at the same time, just being itself an expression of potential. That just is as it is. It doesn't require craving or clinging. It simply requires observation. O good man, when this bodhisattva abides in great MahaPariNirvana, he will manifest various innumerable transformations. Hence, MahaPariNirvana. All such divine results which this Bodhisattva Mahasattva displays can never be weighed or known by any ordinary being. What does he mean by not weighed? Because it's not a thing, right? It's not an identified collection of atoms, molecules, what have you, gas, on and on, right? How could you know why the Tathagata field, as manifested Buddha, committed himself to a life of love and desire and begat Rahula? Because that's a mental state. That mental state doesn't enact all of the physical drama that is the human birth process, birthing process, impregnation process. It simply observes and influences as much as it can this physical realm of the 3,000-fold world. What's that? Set myself up there. Trichotillocosm. We'll go with that. O good man, it is now a long time since I first experienced this great MahaPariNirvana and manifested many divine results. It is as alluded to in the Samadhi of the Lotus Sutra, in which I have already variously manifested such in 10 million suns and moons and in 10 million Jambudvipas of the 3,000 great thousandfold worlds. And I attain nirvana in the 3,000 great thousandfold worlds and in Jambudvipa. I do indeed attain it. And I find my way into the mother's womb and make the parents think of me as their child. Now that's you don't skip that statement too quickly. I will refer you to, if you use the search in the middle of the page, not the YouTube search, but the middle of the page where the lists of videos, playlists, after about, there's a little magnifying glass. That's the search within this website, within this channel, I should say. And you can search for 3 entities at birth, or simply birth. You'll see a results set of several videos. And you can go on threefoldlotus.com and look for a paper on 3 entities. Well, there's a lot of 3 entities, aren't there? 3 bodies of Buddha, 3... it might be called 3 entities, actually, of birth. I'm sure birth is in the title. Because as I've explained before, we're generally told in the mundane world that it takes a sperm and an egg to make another human. But that's not the full picture. It actually takes 3 entities. The entity of the sperm, which carries chromosomal information, genetic information from the male. The egg, which carries its information from the mother, the female. But every sperm and every egg don't automatically make a child, do they? People struggle with making a child, not for lack of sperm or egg. There are a lot of things physically involved, yes, but only when that third component, the child, yes, the child exists pre-womb. How can I say that? Because I'm not talking about a child that has arms and legs and a head and sass and on and on and on. I'm talking about the child potential. The energy from which the entire cosmos is expressed has within it a child component. And now you could get poetic and make all sorts of similes and to that statement. like the moon is a child of the earth, which, anyway, we don't need to get into all that. But childness, the promulgation of species, is not unique to you and I. The entire cosmos exists because of that potential. The cosmos is a child of itself. Again, CCC, go look up Roger Penrose. He has his detractors, but, you know, that will always happen. We live in the age of materialists, so it's very hard for them to speak in terms of energy, quiescent or manifest in its various potentials. They're uncomfortable talking about that, but that's our domain. And I find my way into the mother's womb and make the parents think of me as their child. There it is. I find my way into the mother's womb via the doorway of the cells of the egg and the sperm, and join in that physical process my energetic, karmic engine of life to express my life, the potential for my life, as an amalgam of the vehicles that supported me through this physical transformation, and that those children always carry characteristics of the parent and their lineage, on both sides, male and female. But there's always another component, the self, that karmic expression of that individual. And don't mistake what I'm saying here. This isn't like, it's a little bit more. Let me explore that a little more subtly, because what we're reading is doing that as well. I'm not merely saying that we have, what's an analogy I could give? I'm thinking of food. Go figure. But you have the food and you have the spices. But then you have to have the heat or cool or temperature and the manipulation of those items in order for them to result in food. Now you can say what results in your plate is the meat and potatoes with the seasonings. And you wouldn't be wrong, but you're not entirely right either. Because the method that the meat and potatoes were prepared, baked, grilled, fried, sautéed, sous vide, how did it come about? All affects the meat and potatoes. We can go on all night about this because me likes some food. But do you understand what I'm saying? Is that it's not that there are three different things that get thrown together. It's that they interact and influence one another. And what results is a constantly changing, moment to moment play and winning and losing, if you will, of the influences in that mix. that then becomes my karma, your karma. When we say karma, we have to understand that there is the freight train of karma that came into the opportunity in the womb to manifest as a human being. But as a human being, you are not just that karma. That eighth consciousness, that repository of karma, is constantly being fed and bled off by not only your karmic experience, but your karmic experience as influenced by the portals of karma that you came through and with to manifest as an expression of many aspects of energy in momentum, yes? And every moment of thought regarding that existence is equally influenced by everything in that moment, and everything in that moment is a result of whatever came before. But that doesn't continue to influence you. The past only influences you if you recall it and refresh that influence now in a new way, because the past is gone. See, this is the difficult part of understanding past, present, and future. They are not stationary things. All right. And I find my way into the mother's womb and make the parents think of me as their child. But I am never one who was born through the conjoining of love and desire. I being Buddha. I have been far removed from sensual love or for innumerable kalpas. This body of mine is the Dharma body. The experience of enlightenment in the vehicle of Shakyamuni. Shakyamuni Buddha is here telling the story of his lifetime as Siddhartha Gautama before his transformation into Shakyamuni. Shakyamuni Buddha, sage of the Shakya clan, right? This is a little note I put in here. Following the way of the world, I manifest myself in a motherly womb. Oh, good man, in this Jambudvipa, in the Lumbini Gardens, I manifested birth from the womb of Mother Maya. After birth, I took 7 steps to the east and proclaimed, I am the most honored and best of all men, devas, and asuras. My parents and men and devas, on witnessing this, were joyous beyond words and wonderstruck. All these people said that I was a child. So it may be confusing because he's bouncing around a little bit here. He's saying that his Buddhahood, his ninth consciousness, was born in his earthly consciousness, his mundane consciousness, samsaric consciousness, fully formed. But he, Siddhartha Gautama, had not yet realized that Buddhahood was there all along, just as you and I have made the same mistake. And this is where you can go read all the miscellaneous folklore and histories of Siddhartha growing up, leaving home, going on a mission for 6, 7, 12, it depends on the accounts you read, years of study with great Brahmins and other monks until he sets on his own, right? The story beneath the Bodhi tree, until it finally, he opens that Gohanzon mind door and goes, this is what it is to experience Buddhahood. That's when he transcends his samsaric existence and fully forms his Buddhaness, Shakyamuni Muni, great sage of the Shakya clan, Shakyamuni, Buddha. So I have another note here. Here is Buddha himself discussing his realization of Tathagata field potential manifesting in his own human life. He takes on all the characteristics of the Tathagata field potential and adopts them into his human conception upon his realization of Buddha-ness, being enlightened. Nirvana, emancipation, liberation from the samsaric trap, craving, clinging, past, future. But for innumerable kalpas past, I had been segregated from such thing. Such a body as this is the Dharma body, not one born of flesh and blood, sinews, bones, and marrow. Following the way of the world, I appeared as a child. I took 7 steps to the south and proclaimed that I would become the best field of wheel for the sake of innumerable beings. Taking 7 steps to the west, I indicated that life was now ended and I would part from age and death, and that this was the last of my bodies. Taking even steps, or I should say 7, How do you make 7 even? Remove the S, right? Old joke. Helly Mill. With friends like you guys, how could I fail? Oh, well. I manifested that I would cross all the seas of the cycle of birth and death and all of existences. Taking 7 steps to the east, I revealed that I would become the guide to all beings. Taking 7 steps to the 4 corners, I revealed that I would cut off the roots of various illusions and the natures of the 4 maras, becoming Shakyamuni Buddha, the alms-deserving, the all-enlightened one. Taking 7 steps, the pure landwards, I proclaimed that I would never be tainted by impurities. Taking 7 steps netherwards, I proclaimed that the rain of Dharma would extinguish the fire of hell, so that beings born there would bequeath with quietude and bliss. To a person who violated the prohibitions, I manifested myself as frost and hail. After 7 days of life in Jambudvipa, I manifested shaving my head, indicating, right, the symbolic release of any cares of aesthetics, distinguishing marks, identification. All said, I was the first child to have had his head shaved. All men and devas, the king of Marapapiyas, the Darakutenomao, Shramanas and Brahmins can never see the Usnisa, the protuberance on top of Shakyamuni Buddha's head, of my head. How could they possibly take a blade and shave it? There can never be any person who could take a blade and reach my head. I have shaved my head innumerable kalpas past, but to follow the ways of the secular world, I showed that I shaved it as a young prince. After my birth, my parents took me to the temple of the karmic potentials and showed me to Maheshvara, who, on seeing me, folded his hands and stepped to one side. I had already, since innumerable kalpas, done away with any such ceremony as entering the Deva's temple. But just to follow the ways of secular life, I manifested this in the life of Jambudvipa. I let people make a hole in my earlobe. Nobody in the world can make a hole in my earlobe. To follow the way of secular life, I manifested this. Also, they made hanging lion earrings out of all the gems and adorned my earlobes. But since innumerable kalpas past, I've already dispensed with adornments, just to follow what obtains in secular life. I manifested this. I went to school and showed that I learnt reading and writing, but I had already been accomplished in all such innumerable kalpas ago. As I passed my eyes through all the beings of the three worlds, I saw none who could be my teacher. But to comply with the ways of secular life, I displayed myself going to school. That is why I am called Shakyamuni Buddha, the alms-deserving and all-enlightened one. The same with driving an elephant, riding round on a horse, wrestling, and the learning of various arts too. In Jambudvipa, I manifested myself as a young prince. All beings saw me as a royal prince, enjoying and pleasing himself. Where are you? Amidst the life of the five desires. But innumerable kalpas past I had already discarded, such as the five desires. Just to comply with what obtains in secular life, I manifested this. The augur saw me and said that if I did not abandon home and seek the way, I would become a Chakravartin, a benevolent ruler, and king of Jambudvipa. All beings believed this. But I had already discarded the throne of a Chakravartin and was the Dharma king. In Jambudvipa, I renounced female attendants and the five desires, saw age, illness, death, and the shramana, and abandoned home and sought the way. All beings said that the Prince Siddhartha then, for the first time, abandoned home and became a shramana. But already innumerable kalpas before, I had abandoned home, becoming a shramana, practiced the way merely to comply with what obtained in secular life. What is he talking about here, this past where he'd already achieved all of this? This past that he's talking about is potential. It's not an actual place. Oh boy, that clears up a lot, doesn't it? There's just so many dialogues we've read in different stories, in different sutras, about his life as a this or a that, and he served so on and so forth for 3,000 millennia or whatever, and on and on. He's just talking about this Tathagata field and its many, many, many varieties of expression, combined energies, tendencies, and conditions, and that ultimately, the ultimate tendencies and conditions are Buddhahood. The Tathagata field itself, complete. So again, just like the personages, I will capture this sense of characteristics as a bodhisattva so-and-so or a Buddha so-and-so. But those aren't real people. They're baskets of characteristics, yeah? And so he's describing his basket. And I manifested this. I had already abandoned home in Jambudvipa and received upasampada, full ordination. I made effort, right? And that ordination comes from where? Your Buddhahood. It's not given to you. It's something you attain, you accomplish. I made effort, he says, practiced the way, he says, and attained such fruitions of the way as the Sotapanna, the stream enterer, a monk who will only be born between 2 and 7 more times before gaining liberation, a Sakridagamin, a once returner, Anagamin, never returner to this world, and Muni, Shakyamuni, a sage. I manifested this. Everybody said it was easy and not difficult to attain enlightenment. But I had already innumerable kalpas in the past attained enlightenment. The potential for this life I am now manifesting has always existed. That's what he's saying. In order to pass beings to the shore of enlightenment, I sat under the Bodhi tree on the Bodhimanda, seat of enlightenment, of grass, and defeated all the maras, the demons, the poor influences, the mundane influences, the desires attacking him left and right and center. But I had already innumerably long kalpas back in the past defeated the maras as Tathagata field, right? In order to subdue strong beings, I manifested this scene. I also displayed answering the calls of nature of the 2 kinds of breathing in and out. All beings say that I answer the calls of nature and breathe in and out. But with this body of mine, I have no fruition of karma and no worries. I merely accord with the way of worldly life. I go with the flow. That is why I manifest such. I also show that I receive offerings made to me by the resolved in practice. But I have no hunger or thirst in this body of mine, and I just comply with the worldly way of life. I display myself thus. I also follow the worldly way of life of all others and sleep. But I accomplished the depths of wisdom innumerable kalpas past, and did away with such actions as going and coming, all such pains as of the head, eye, stomach, and back, and the whole of my body, and hard-to-cure carbuncles, all of which are the result of past karma, and washing my hands and feet in a basin, washing my face, gargling, using the toothbrush, and all the things as apply in the world. People say that I do all of these things, but I do not. My hands and feet are as pure as lotuses, and my mouth is clean and smells like utpala, lotus flowers. Everyone says that I am a man, but I am now no man. Because a man is a set of characteristics and circumstances that is unique to the Saha world, yes? And although it's the vehicle for him to exist, him, Buddha, is not the hands, feet, body, corpus of Shakyamuni. You understand? This is about the mind. So let's see. I have another 2 cents to offer here, and I think we'll probably stop there today. We covered a lot of ground. A lot to think about, yeah? A man being the manifestation of a human samsaric being. The sentient mind, emergent of this human being, has the unique capacity to experience critical thought and reason, and can thereby experience deeper truths of the phenomenal realms or worlds. By attaining emancipation from samsara, the mind can open its capacity to perceive the true nature of Tathagata field via the Buddha eye or mind, right? Once open, the samsaric mind ceases to be in control of perception, and the man, quote unquote, courses the Saha world with the Buddha mind. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop here. This chapter is really recalling and revisiting the teachings of the Lotus Sutra. But it's doing so at a different sort of minutia because the audience is different now. And not only is the audience different, but the time is different because he's leaving. Right? And so Kashyapa, who is the stand-in question offerer, is really trying to represent as many of the monks at their various levels and their questions as he can to give Shakyamuni the final opportunity to address all of these holes in their thinking, to get them in line with what he taught for the last 8 years in the Lotus Sutra, yeah? All right. Once again, thank you so much for being here. If you don't have a copy yet of the Buddhism reference book, it's not perfect, but I've got as much in there as I could. Probably need to go back and edit it once again. It's amazing how many times you have to reread something to catch errors. Witness what I'm going through with this one. But what a great quick reference resource to hopefully my effort was to make it so things start to fall in line and click. Because if you read the breadth of sutras and all the commentaries and everything, you can end up going on tangents and just lose your way. It becomes an entertainment of itself, right? But if you start to hunker down as to the meaning, even though the words and stories change over time because he's dealing with different audiences and translations and cultures and habits and blah, 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 the meaning that you should derive from all of these, especially the more that you read, right? Because it's kind of like attacking a problem from various angles and discrete places, yeah? So the meaning, which is, as Nichiren points out, the only value in all of this study, should bring you clarity and, I'm going to make up a word, simplificitude. Really, things start to click into place, and then you start to see what you're building and what you're opening. But that's not only is that no small feat, but it's also incredibly aided by chanting. When we chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo and open that Gohonzon mind, we free our ninth consciousness to help us put things in order. Things suddenly make sense. It's kind of like when you're studying any discipline and you go to sleep at night, not sure what you know, sure of some things, but not still struggling with some. And then when you wake up in the morning and you're brushing your teeth, doing whatever, suddenly, oh, yeah, duh, I get that, right? Because you needed the night for your brain to kind of chew and chomp and get rid of stuff you don't need to know and amplify things that do make sense. And in the morning, all of a sudden, things appear much more simplificatuded. Simplified, yeah? Not to say that Buddhism is simple, but the idea, the mindset, truly is fundamental. And the fact that it's so difficult to attain and maintain is just an indication of how strongly we are influenced by the 3,000 realms, yeah? All right. Enough blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for your support. Don't forget what I said. All the links in the description, whatever you want to go get free podcasts, free information on Threefold Lotus, or if you want to support, become a patron. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thanks once again. Take care of your health, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.